Good evening and welcome to the broadcast tonight, the 13th day of January 2025. Now, we do have a lot lined up for you tonight on Newswatch right here at Hope TV, including resignation of a senior government official and also matters to do with change of guard in the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, and what that means in the fight against graft in the country. Now, my name is Sammy Adika, and our sign language interpreter tonight is the amazing Boniface Mureithi. Starting us off, the head of Government Delivery Services, Dr. Peter Mbai, has resigned, citing unresolved issues raised to Chief of Staff and Head of Public Service, Felix Kosgei. In his resignation letter dated January 9th, 2025 to Kosgei, Mbai opted out of his position in under a year after his appointment by President William Ruto, highlighting unfavorable working conditions. Now, part of the letter reads, "Despite my passion, focus, and consistency for reasons and issues that I have consistently brought to your attention and have not been resolved to date, it has not been possible to carry out my duties as intended, and my position as head of Government Delivery Services is no longer tenable." Now, before Mbai took over as the head of Government Delivery Services, he worked as the Secretary in Investment Promotions from January 2023 in the Office of the Cabinet Secretary in the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry, among other senior positions. And Abdi Ahmed Mohamud has been sworn in as the new Chief Executive Officer of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC. Now, Ahmed takes over from Twali Mubarak, whose 6-year term came to an end on Friday, that is January 10th, 2025. Now, speaking during the ceremony that was presided over by Chief Justice Martha Koome, Mohamud, who was Commission's director in charge of investigations, vowed to execute his mandate with integrity and in line with the Constitution. The CJA called on Abdi Ahmed to support the judiciary realize its duties, adding that the public depends on government institutions to help fight corruption. Now, Mohamud's appointment follows a rigorous selection process in which over 172 candidates were after the position.
Corruption has been identified as one of the key challenges that our country faces. In that regard, I wish to offer my commitment and fidelity to the oath of office that I subscribed to in combating corruption, economic crimes, and unethical conduct in our country. As set out in the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission Strategic Plan 2023-28, the main strategies employed by the Commission in fighting corruption include law enforcement, prevention, public education, promotion of standards and practices of ethics, integrity, and anti-corruption.
This position calls for leadership, resilience, and unwavering commitment to the principles of justice, the principles of good governance, and accountability. Therefore, as you assume this role of CEO, you are not taking it up. You are not just taking it up as a position of authority, but also you will be embracing the trust and the confidence of Kenyans who will be looking up to you with great hope and expectation. Your leadership will shape the fight against corruption and other economic crimes in Kenya. You have already alluded to it in your speech that corruption is indeed an existential threat to this nation.
Well, away from that, 3 allies of former President Uhuru Kenyatta are set for vetting on Tuesday this week by the National Assembly's Committee on Appointments as President William Ruto seeks to fill key cabinet positions. The nominees, Mutahi Kagwe, William Kabogo, and Lee Kinyanjui, are expected to face tough questions on their qualifications and past records amid concerns over inclusivity, gender balance, and regional representation. Our political affairs reporter Kennedy Kimani with more on this.
As you can see, the house is not full. The National Assembly's Committee on Appointments will on Tuesday this week vet 3 nominees for cabinet positions, all of whom previously served as allies of former President Uhuru Kenyatta. First in line is former Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe, who has been nominated for the agriculture docket. Kagwe was a key figure in Kenya's response to the COVID-19 pandemic, overseeing public health strategies and vaccine rollouts. His nomination to agriculture is seen as an effort to leverage his leadership experience in managing large-scale public health systems.
Who have made this parliament to...
At 3 p.m., former Kiambu Governor William Kabogo, nominated for the ICT portfolio, will face the committee. Kabogo, a seasoned politician and businessman, is expected to bring his experience in local governance and regional leadership to drive Kenya's digital transformation. His nomination aligns with the government's focus on technology and innovation. The day will conclude with former Governor of Nakuru County, Lee Kinyanjui, nominated for the trade portfolio. Kinyanjui, who was known for his focus on infrastructure and economic development, is poised to enhance Kenya's trade relations and business environment through his new role. Concerns have, however, been raised about gender balance, regional representation, and inclusivity, with many pointing out lack of female nominees and the overrepresentation of individuals from specific regions. Some critics have also questioned the ethical standing of the nominees based on their previous public service records. National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula, who chairs the vetting committee, has emphasized the importance of transparency and public participation. He has assured that in future the public will be allowed to submit questions to be directly asked during such vetting sessions. After the vetting sessions, the committee will compile a report for a special sitting of the National Assembly on Thursday, where the nominees' fate will be decided by a vote by members of Parliament. Kennedy Kimani, Hope TV Newswatch, Nairobi.
Well, many thanks, Kennedy Kimani, for the report. Now on matters education, President William Ruto has announced his government's plans to construct over 3,500 new classrooms to accommodate more children enrolling in schools within the capital city, Nairobi. Now, while officially opening the Lenana School primary tuition block, the head of state noted that the over 3,000 new classrooms are expected to alleviate overcrowding and create a conducive learning environment for students. His announcement comes as schools across Nairobi face increasing pressure to accommodate the growing student population, as the government also seeks to ensure every child has access to basic education, and also as pressure to complete the 16,000 classrooms required by the first cohort of grade 9 learners continue mounting.
Nyinyi kama wazazi, tafadhali nawauliza, na nasema hivyo mimi mwenyewe nikiwa mzazi, tuchunge watoto wetu wasiharibiwe na bad character, bad mentorship, watu ambao kuna wengine wanachochea hawa watoto wetu, ati wanachochea hawa watoto ati endesheni matusi. Wewe ni mzazi wa aina gani? Wewe ni kiongozi mwenye akili aina gani? Ati unawachochea watoto wetu waendeshe matusi, waendeshe mambo mabaya, waendeshe tabia mbaya. Mimi nawauliza kama wazazi, let us look after our children. Nimeweka mtaratara mzuri, nimeweka mpango mzuri, tumeajiri walimu 76,000 wapya, tumejenga madarasa. Kufikia sasa madarasa tumejenga ni 14,000 mpya. Tumehakikisha ya kwamba tunaweka funding model ambayo inasaidia watoto wetu wa TVET na watoto wetu wa vyuo vikuu. Ile vyuo vikuu ilikuwa na matatizo, tumetatua matatizo yao. We are now marching forward as a country in matters to do with education, because the education of our children is probably the most important thing we can give, and the most important gift we can give to our children and to future generations.
Well, now on matters health, clinical officers across the country have strongly reiterated that their planned strike slated for 19th of January 2025 is still on unless the government addresses their grievances. Now led by the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers Chairperson Peterson Wachira, the clinicians have cited ongoing discrimination by the Social Health Authority SHA and the violation of the Return to Work Agreement signed after a prolonged strike in 2024 as major reasons for their strike. Now, according to the union, SHA has excluded clinical officers from providing services despite their registration with the Clinical Officers Council, and has failed to recognize their facilities. Now, the union has also raised allegations of cartels in the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Council, KMPDC, that are preventing SHA from empaneling their members and their facilities. Let's take a look.
For the union. It is a policy of the United Nations, a policy of the World Health Organization, that nations implement universal health coverage. This universal health coverage is underpinned by 3 principles. The first one being that every Kenyan, wherever they are, they must be able to access health services. The second principle is that the health service that they do access must be of good quality. And the third principle is that accessible health of good quality must not have catastrophic consequences to their financial well-being. That is what UHC is all about. Now, when it comes to our country, we have put in place laws that are supposed to ensure smooth implementation of this. We have the Social Health Insurance Act. Under that act, it bestows the mandate to Social Health Authority, which is a board that is supposed to, number 1, implement the social health insurance to ensure that every Kenyan is covered, and number 2, and most important, to ensure actualization of the universal health coverage. Clinical officers are outside Social Health Authority. There is no Kenyan that we can be able to see and they benefit from Social Health Authority, and especially keeping in mind that more than 90% of Kenyans, we are the first people that see them, wherever you go, whether in private mission or in public. And worse off, the same Social Health Insurance Act now compels every Kenyan to start from level 2 and level 3, where it's only a clinical officer who is the primary clinician you're going to find there. So simply, Kenyans right now cannot be able to access health services because clinical officers have been denied the rights to pre-authorize and to register their facility. Matabibu, viva! Viva!
Well, we are all waiting to see how that will transpire right there come the 19th of January 2025. Still on matters health, Machakos County government has announced a breakthrough on promotion of nurses averting a strike, which had been called by the Kenya National Union of Nurses beginning next week. Addressing the press, the County Secretary, Dr. Muya Ndambuki, says the county government has addressed all the 10 issues raised by the union in their strike notice issued on December 23rd, 2024, further assuring the county residents not to worry as they will continue receiving health services as promised.
I want to assure the people of Machakos that nurses will be on duty. Services will continue as usual. Wale wanataka matibabu, go to all our facilities. Nurses will be on duty and they will be motivated. I also want to sincerely thank Her Excellency for enabling us, even giving us a budget and resources to make sure that we address the issues which were raised by the nurses. They had raised 10 issues and we've been able to address all of them. We've put in so many hours together with the union and the executive, and I want to thank all the teams which were involved in this.
Promotion of the rest of the staff above 55 years. And for this, suitability interviews will be conducted and letters issued by the 17th of March this year. Again, the number that will be affected by that will be 80 of our nurses. And item number 4, promotion of enrolled nurses who have for a long time suffered historical injustices related to promotions. And for this, suitability interviews will be conducted and letters issued by the 17th of March this year again. And the number affected by this will be 28 in total.
Well, now away from matters health, as the second phase of performance evaluation exercise in the financial year 2023-2024 kicks off, targeting state corporations and tertiary institutions across the country. Deputy Chief of Staff in charge of performance and delivery management in the Executive Office of the President, Eliud Owalo, says the evaluation at the Kenya Revenue Authority will entail clear interventions in the area of enhancing revenue collection, improvement of revenue to GDP ratio, widening the revenue collection base, facilitation of tax returns, and improving customer satisfaction levels, among other parameters agreed when the performance contract was signed. Owalo has further underscored the fact that the Kenya Kwanza government has been able to digitize over 20,000 government services, which are now available online. Let's listen in.
Facilitating prompt value-added tax refunds and also improving the customer satisfaction levels. The implication of this is that the performance assessment of good people will be undertaken in strict conformity to the expected outputs and the output indicators or performance indicators that were there in the performance contract, as well as the targets. That will be the basis of the evaluation. So at this point in time, we cannot modify the indicators, we cannot modify the targets that were set. So we are here to look at the evidence of performance in line with the commitments that were made during the activity period 2023-2024. Of course, to implement that performance contract, you have been implementing your annual work plan for the same period 2023-2024, and that annual work plan emanates from your strategic plan, which is your long-term strategic direction. So we hope that in line with the government's overall objective of enhancing the level of domestic revenue, that largely those targets and indicators were met.
Well, we shall be taking a short commercial break, but we'll be right back to take a look on matters that transpired along the corridors of justice right here in the country. Don't go too far.
Coming soon. This November.
He's the God who raised up Moses in a palace only to use him in the wilderness, and raised up Joseph in the wilderness only to use him in a palace.
Young person, God is at work within your heart. What does it say? He is at work. It's him who is at work in you.
If you are going to be successful in the service of God, it calls for sacrifice.
We get to appraise what God is doing, and by his invitation, partner with him.
Come on, keep moving. He's inspiring you to challenge that which seems impossible.
What he would require of us is to declare, send me Lord, regardless of our background.
Only on Hope TV.
I've actually been trying to find a balance. It's been really tough and hectic, but everyone says once you get a hang of it, it becomes better, and I don't know, but I'm hoping to find a balance soon because it's really been hectic. But you've been in the job industry for a long time, so I think you would know better. Cindy?
Huh? What time is it? I need to catch up on Leadership Forum. Do they have a radio here? Never mind. I brought my own.
No way. You can't be serious. Wait, why do you have a radio and you can just catch up with the shows on Hope FM podcast?
Really? Even which of the what?
Yeah. I mean, you can find them on whatever platform, name it. AfriPods, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it.
But I'm not subscribed on any of them.
So no worries. You can just check out the latest episodes on hopemediakenya.org.
You can now listen to select Hope FM programs on your favorite podcast streaming platform. or directly on our website www.hopemediakenya.org. Listen and live.
Welcome back to the broadcast. In other news, former Laikipia woman representative Kate Waruguru has strongly condemned reports of plans to revive the outlawed Mungiki gang in order to defend elected leaders from hostility within the Mount Kenya region. Let's take a look on the report.
Speaking during a church service in Nanyuki, Waruguru accused certain leaders of allegedly attempting to use the outlawed gang for political protection, particularly in light of the expected presidential visit to the region.
The word in the street is that His Excellency President Ruto is planning to come to Mount Kenya finally. His visit has been cut in race by the emerging groups or criminal gang groups which were outlawed in this land by the name Mungiki. And we've heard from the 31st crossover at Kabirene in Nyeri that the illegal gang group by the name Mungiki will be offering protection to the president and Mount Kenya leaders who decided to abandon their people and run to go and become choirs.
Waruguru expressed concern that the gang would be mobilized during the presidential visit, a move she described as dangerous and detrimental to the region's stability.
I want to make this above statement that we know that the state intends to use government resources or taxpayer resources to come and mobilize crowds in Mount Kenya, and we want to tell them that we know you believe in our votes and believe in every Kenyan in their entity as people who can make their decision without being coerced.
She urged the elected leaders from Mount Kenya to shift their focus to development initiatives rather than relying on what she termed as dish out to recruit the youth into criminal activities.
Let's pray for our country. Tumeona tukiambiwa wazazi hatujalea watoto wetu kwa njia zinazofaa. Nikakumbuka jana kuna mheshimiwa anaitwa Farah Maalim ameongea mambo chafu na nikashindwa watoto wetu wanaiga mifano gani? Tunaweza ambiwa tujalea watoto vizuri, but yale maongeo ya kutusi sisi, kutusi our Gen Z, mimi ni mama Gen Z bishop, kuwatusi pamoja na wazazi wetu. The worst thing you can do to an African is abusing their parents. Tunachukia sana na tunaumia sana wakati tunatukaniwa wazazi wetu.
According to Waruguru, such actions were only worsening the situation, leading to increased tension and unrest in the area.
That if they really love us, they must bring us money for development, and we do not want handouts and money being poured so that they recruit our young men to illegal gangs like the Mungiki. We want the president to come to Mount Kenya for development, the same way we have seen him go to Western Kenya and go to Luo Nyanza, launching roads, electricity, and doing other major developments like opening of industries, resuscitating the sugar industry, which has been dead for the longest. We do not want empty rhetorics and waste of our time.
Additionally, Waruguru noted that the head of state appeared to have shifted his support to other regions, especially in the face of growing criticism from the Mount Kenya region. She lamented that the vote-rich area had been largely abandoned as political leaders directed their attention elsewhere.
Previous leader of opposition, Raila Odinga, Western and Luo Nyanza never voted for you. You've taken all our taxes to Luo Nyanza and Western Kenya just because they have been your critics. You have proven one thing to the people of Kenya. You do not reward people who invested in you. You reward your critics, you reward the opposition, and therefore we, as the people of Kenya, who say abduction is unjust, who say it is wrong for you to abuse or misuse the people of Mount Kenya and even people from the other region.
Waruguru's statements reflect growing concerns over the state of political affairs in Mount Kenya, particularly regarding the use of violence and criminal gangs for political gain. The call for development-focused leadership and the protection of citizen rights continues to resonate across the region. Regan Mudhuri, Hope TV, Newswatch.
Well, many thanks, Regan Modori, right there. Now, Joseph Cairo Wamboi, alias Caliph Cairo, was earlier in the day charged with obtaining money by fraudulent means. Now, according to the prosecution, Caliph Cairo, on diverse dates between July 29, 2024 and November 16, 2024, at unknown locations within Nairobi County, by fraudulent means, induced Donna Ayalo Okoth to transfer 2.9 million Kenya shillings into his account by falsely pretending that he will purchase him a Subaru Outback. In another charge, Cairo is accused of fraudulently tricking Jeff Kiule Munane to transfer 2.1 million Kenya shillings into his account by falsely pretending he would facilitate importation of a motor vehicle make Honda Vezel hybrid from Japan, which he never delivered. Now, Caliph Cairo, appearing before Chief Magistrate Lucas Onyina at Milimani Law Courts, denied all the charges, with his defense lawyers Danstan Omari, Cliff Ombeta, and Martin Swiga informed the court that their client is a victim of a business gone sour and that he should be released on very lenient bond terms.
And will be guided by the court.
And if you look at the affidavit that have been signed or sworn in by one case Samburu, I am not sure whether there is a police officer who doesn't put a number down. So we will start by wanting to doubt whether this officer actually exists, or that is why she is not here in the thought. It is true. But that is on a lighter note. We have been told that the accused person in this affidavit is a person who is likely to abscond.
To do what it is paid to do. And the role of the victim's advocate.
Well, now on matters insecurity in West Pokot County, over 700 families have been left homeless with the 10 schools closed down in Cheptulel and Chesogon, West Pokot County, following a wave of banditry that continues to disrupt lives and livelihoods. Now, even as a number of schools, including Chesogon Primary, Cheptulel Boys Secondary, Litei ECD, and Sampoloi Moi Primary have been closed and some partially reopened, they still are struggling, or rather are under precarious conditions, with residents appealing for urgent government intervention to restore peace and stability in the region. Now, while visiting the banditry-prone area of Chesogon, Sigor Member of Parliament Peter Lochakapong urged government through the Ministry of Special Programs, Ministry of Interior National Coordination, and the Ministry of Education to move with speed and restore peace in the region by reopening the affected learning institutions and offering foodstuffs to displaced families for a period of not less than 2 years.
Schools were closed, and this school, Cheptulel Boys in particular, was forced to relocate to Surumben Primary School. But we thank God this day that beginning the end of last year, the area have realized some peace. People have started coming, and the communities, both Pokot and Marakwet communities, have started meeting together and coexist together. So it is now high time that we bring back those who migrated away from this area, and also the schools to be reopened.
Wale hizi mashule zikifunguliwa, wanafunzi wa hii shule na wazazi wao ambao utafanya resettlement kwao waweze kupewa chakula. So ni chakula kwa wanafunzi na chakula kwa wananchi wa hapa, na ulisikia ule mzee alisema hapa uweze kulisha jamii hii kwa miaka miwili ndio waweze kujisimamia na waweze kujipanga. So unalisha wanafunzi wenyewe na wale ambao utawa resettle. Kulingana na documents ya DCC walisema 795. Hiyo ni kama watu 800. So 800 ukipatia kila mtu mabati 20 hiyo ni mabati 1600. Kwa bei ya saa hii hiyo ni kama milioni 20.
Tunataka ofisi ya rais wamwake KDF katika hiyo sehemu, kwa sababu ni mali kidogo sana. Wakae upande wa juu Chesoko na wakae upande wa Sakato, ili watu warudi huko waende wafanye shughuli sao ya kawaida. Kwa hivyo hiyo ndio kitu alifanya watu kutoroka ni vita, lakini yenyewe ardhi ni ile fertile, ni ile mzuri sana.
Now moving to Uasin Gishu County, a section of parents at Kimalel Primary School on the outskirts of Eldoret City have raised an alarm over the alleged grabbing of the institution's parcel of land. The parents who invaded the said land accuse a local developer of illegally planning to take over the 4-acre piece of land. Now led by the area MCA David Leting, the parents say, or rather some of whom studied at the school, insisted that the land was meant to facilitate the school's expansion, further noting that the developer had restricted access to the land, denying parents or other learners the much-needed playground.
Ishu ya mashamba hii, sisi kama ukoo, mimi kama mwenyekiti, kisheria sina mamlaka ya kuweza kuadhibu mtu ambaye anaharibu shamba ya ukoo. Sasa kama kunaweza tengenezwa kitu kama bill, iwe kwa sheria ya Kenya na ipewe ofisi ya ukoo mamlaka kwamba memba wa ukoo akifanya hili, akiuza shamba ama auze shamba with the express permission ya ukoo. Nafikiria hiyo itatusaidia.
Vile nimekuja kwa ofisi nimeona katiba ambayo ilitengenezwa mpaka tuifanyie review. Kwa hivyo katiba ambayo Maruti alipewa jana ni ya uongo. Katiba yenyewe ndio hii. Tukifanya review, wao pia tunawakaribisha tufanye review. Haitafanya na mtu mmoja. Kwa hivyo mbele yenu nataka kuhakikisha ule uchaguzi wa jana ilikuwa drama. Kuna watu ambao wako na ubinafsi. Kuna watu ambao wako na njaa ya uongozi.
Na wasii babambo wote tusiweke ndani mipaka, mkuje pamoja, tufanyie kazi pamoja, tufuate sheria ya kitamaduni.
Bila aliapisha fimbo hiyo si halali. Aenda atupe hata vyote ambavyo walimupa, atupe hata achome.
Well, it's quite sad right there. Now, President William Ruto has reiterated Kenya's commitment to diplomatic ties with China, which stretches over 60 years. Now speaking at State House while receiving credentials of the newly appointed Chinese envoy, Guo Haiyan, the head of state, says Kenya will keep strengthening her cordial relations with China, focusing on infrastructure development, trade and investment, and collaborating in climate change mitigation. Haiyan takes over from Zhou Pingjian, whose tenure ended in December after a successful 4 years.
China congratulates Kenya on its success, commends all its worthy efforts, and wishes Kenya new and continued progress toward realizing modernization. China and Kenya enjoy a profound traditional friendship. President Xi Jinping has met twice with Your Excellency since October 2023 and reached important consensus on carrying forward the China-Kenya Comprehensive Strategic Cooperative Partnership. Last September, Your Excellency attended the 2024 FOCAC Summit in Beijing and co-hosted the high-level meeting of high-quality Belt and Road cooperation, making important contribution to the success of the summit. China sets great store by its relations with Kenya and stands ready to work with Kenya to implement the consensus of our two leaders and the outcomes of FOCAC Summit, deepen our friendly and mutually beneficial cooperation in various fields, build a closer China-Kenya community with a shared future, and better benefit the two countries and the peoples.
Well, that right there marks the end of tonight's bulletin. Many thanks for choosing Newswatch right here at Hope TV. My name is Sammy Adika, and our sign language interpreter has been Boniface Mureithi. Do have a wonderful night. Goodbye.